Joining us now is former Assistant U.S. Attorney David Weinstein and our colleague here, Jim DeFede. And Jim, let me ask you first, how were they able to find their man, so to speak?
Well, look, the FBI and the folks who do this for a living are amazing at it when it comes to bomb devices. The very first device, George Soros' device, was exploded, and so that was blown to bits. But once they realized they were getting a pattern of these, they made every effort to preserve the actual package itself because they knew there was so much material in there that would lead them to the suspect. And sure enough, they found fingerprints, and they eventually found some DNA that led them to Sayoc, and through cell phone towers, they were able to trace him. And then when they found him at the parking lot, that's when they decided to take him down because they felt it was a safe area to do so.
So, David, Sayoc is facing 5 federal charges right now, but could more charges follow? This is preliminary.
Well, this is just a preliminary complaint. They've analyzed a certain amount of information. As Jim pointed out, they've got the explosives. They've located their man. Now they're going to sit down and they're going to decide, are they going to charge him just with the crimes that are listed here, or are they going to add more? Perhaps use of an explosive device, terrorist activity as well. There may be other charges that are added, and even if it's just on these charges, depending on enhancements, he could be looking at 70 years under the statutes.
So it's all very fluid still right now, and they still don't know if there are more packages out there, perhaps.
Well, they don't know if there's more packages out there, and they also don't know if there are other people who helped them. There could have been other individuals that had assisted him with this. That seems to be from the language they used in the indictment. There may have been others. So their investigation is going to continue, and there may be more that we'll find out in the coming days.
Jim, let's talk about this van.
Sure.
I've seen on social media folks post, oh, I've seen that van. I've seen that van in different parts of South Florida and at rallies. How come more attention wasn't called to this thing?
Well, I think a lot of attention was. I think it became the Where's Waldo of this story. I think you saw people immediately gravitate. I think they recognized the van before they actually recognized Cesar Sayoc himself. And what's interesting to me is you had people who were actually taking pictures of it because they found it to be interesting.
Amusing.
Amusing almost. And that tells you something about the state of our politics today, that this wasn't as much troubling as it was entertaining to sort of see this display. My understanding is this was parked outside the VFW for a while in Fort Lauderdale. This was in shopping malls in the Aventura area. And what I think, and not only that, it appears he was living in the van for a good part of the last year or so. And so, look, I think that this becomes more indicative. This van sort of capsulizes the state of our politics today.
Not exactly inconspicuous.
No, not inconspicuous.
Okay, so David, no terrorism charges were announced, but what constitutes terrorism? Because this does seem political, even if you ignore the van and the messages on the van, just by the very nature of the targets he was sending these packages to, allegedly. Wouldn't that constitute terrorism?
Well, it's going to be a little bit more than just the targets themselves. They're going to dig and get a little more information. Some of it's been provided by post on his Facebook page, on his social media, and other items that he's been out there talking about. So they're going to incorporate some of that as well. Maybe he's made, perhaps in addition to the statements originally before he stopped cooperating, he's made some additional statements. Not to mention the fact that, yes, these were targeting individuals who were both former public officials and current public officials. We saw a little bit of this. It took place in the Sarnayev case up in Boston before they filed the formal charges and then deemed it an act of terrorism.
If there is a trial in this case, David, where will it take place? Well, let me ask you, first of all, are they going to move into another venue?
From everything I've heard and from all the reports that have been made and from this complaint that we saw filed, this is going up to the Southern District of New York. All the hard work that was done by law enforcement and prosecutors down here in South Florida, that's being scooped up and taken up to New York. They're going to prosecute this case in the Southern District of New York. So that's where he's going to go. He'll appear in court Monday. He'll be entitled to what's called the removal hearing and then off to New York. And this case is going to be settled and determined either by a trial or a plea in the Southern District of New York. And quickly at that, this is federal court. This is not going to linger around for years. This will be done and finished in 6 to 8 months.
All right, so Jim, the midterm election is coming up. Is this going to play any role? He was a supporter of Ron DeSantis. He's a supporter of Donald Trump. Do you think this is going to play any kind of a role in the election? Well,
first, I do think we should be careful about attributing, his actions to any particular candidate. I don't think that's necessarily fair to Ron DeSantis or to any of the Republicans that he may have supported more locally. I think that this becomes another talk about the civility in our politics or the lack of the civility in our politics. Look, both sides, both bases are fired up. You're already seeing some on the far right try to suggest that this is some sort of conspiracy even behind this that is doing this to try to make Republicans look bad. I think you're going to just sort of see more intense. I think I think what we've seen in this race is it can't get much nastier, and I think this just feeds into it.
Well, we'll see what happens tonight. The president has a rally in North Carolina. Whether or not he addresses this.
Well, I'm sure. My guess is he will address it, and my guess is that his tone will not be all that toned down. I think he will continue to blame the media. That's the easiest thing to do. He'll suggest that it was the media that created the atmosphere that led to a circumstance like this.
Okay.
All right, Jim, thank you. And David, thank you also for coming.
Thank you, David.